Hey everyone across the multiverse here. In this video, we are going to discuss about how strong is the god himself, Gojo Satoru. Well, I am going to talk about two versions of Gojo Satoru. One is basically before he went into prison realm, and one is after he came back from prison realm. And I will put him against Sukuna just in case, just to show how he will fare, because Sukuna is the only one that can stand a chess game. So let's get started. First, let's talk about Prison Realm. Before Prison Realm 1, Gojo Satoru. Okay, so this Gojo Satoru is pretty much equal in power to the original, the final fight Gojo Satoru, but the only difference is he does not know how to lower the size, make the domain smaller, because he has not experienced the Prison Realm and the dimension of Prison Realm. So he is basically strong, equally strong as compared to the final Gojo Satoru we saw in his last fight. So yeah, so I will not talk about how strong is he, because I will do it for the last one. I will compare him to just Sukuna and how will fare out. Like for example, in his fight against Sukuna, spoiler alert, even though everyone already know what happened, everyone know that happened, but I will still giving you spoilers from manga. If you are enemy only, then don't watch this video right now, just skip and move on. So yeah, so what happened is against finding Sukuna, that once he realized that Sukuna is breaking his barriers, he decided to shorter and make the domain smaller to increase the density of it outside. Now, well, this Gojo Satoru might lose if he stays on his pride and decided not to teleport out of the domain. Well, because because he will never have the ability to make the domain smaller. So he will keep on opening domain and it's setting his brain, and until to the point he basically just destroys his brain, and Sukuna basically just open the domain and keep on adapting until at one point Sukuna basically kills Gojo. The only way Gojo wins is that if he decides to wins in a sense, he is goes toe to toe equal in domain battle. If he decides to basically teleport away from Sukuna's basically domain, which to be honest in my opinion is just bad writing, considering that he didn't do, and some people say it's out of pride. Well, using your power is not really something like running away, but okay, I am not going to there because obviously Sukuna fans won't like it, but let's just accept reality and move on. And that's that he didn't basically do it, and he will most probably, I think he might probably do it. I mean, in the end, he don't want to lose, so it's not like he will just be like, okay, so let's go with pride and just get killed, because obviously Gojo knows that if he can't basically do anything, he at one point will just decide to teleport out of the domain, and then the fight will go on as normal as we did, and we will know what happened. So let's now discuss what will happen if, how strong is Gojo after Prison Realm. Well, this Gojo is what we saw in the final fight, and this Gojo is easily the strongest character in the entire series as far as we know. The reason is that even despite him not basically using his main thing, which is a main thing that could have easily made him won the domain battle, which is his power to basically teleport. And if let's say he used to teleport out of the domain, Sukuna would have to force himself to open domain with a closed barrier, and this way their barriers would have been equal and Sukuna would have lost, because every time the only reason Sukuna was breaking Gojo's domain was because Gojo's domain was inside Sukuna's domain. So if they were equal, Sukuna would not have been able to break the domain, and Sukuna would have lost the domain battle and he would have died there. So first of all thing. Second of all, this Gojo basically almost killed Sukuna, despite Sukuna having the strongest Shikigami in the entirety of Jujutsu Kaisen history, as well as probably the second strongest Shikigami we have ever seen. If it's not equal stronger than Rika, considering that the second Shikigami, the one Agito, basically took multiple punches from Gojo Satoru himself, which even Yuta claimed that he could not take even one. So I do think Gojo was not basically fighting the strongest sorcerer in the entire history. Gojo was basically fighting the strongest sorcerer in the entire history, as well as the two of the top strongest Shikigamis in the entire history. So he was basically fighting three strongest at one point. and still was able to kill the both of them, as well as make Sukuna go and make Sukuna almost die and give up. But at one point, not give up, Sukuna didn't give up, but he almost killed Sukuna at one point. It did make Sukuna traumatized, considering that every time he thought of Gojo, he had panic attacks. Anyway, even when he basically was when Gojo died, the only reason he died was basically because of he was caught off guard. As stated, as the main guy stated, and the author stated, as the guy stated, that if Gojo was in his right mind, Gojo would have dodged that. And what does that mean by that? That means that if Gojo somehow dodged that attack, the one space cutting attack, Gojo knows that there is an attack, and Sukuna would have to turn himself into his strongest form, which is basically already been extremely damaged, and as well as basically Sukuna would have have to fight a Gojo whose RCT is completely normal. Sukuna's RCT is still weak, and as well as Sukuna no longer can use his cutting slash without making hand signs as pointing it to direction. So in other words, if Gojo managed to jump out of the way of that slash, Gojo would have murdered Sukuna easily without any problem, and there is no question about it. Now, well, some people might hate the fact that I have said this. Now, I am not saying that Gojo will win against Sukuna in his Heian era form. That's a different topic. Now, what do I think? Who will win? I am not saying Sukuna will win. I am not saying Gojo will win, because I might make a video on it in future. But right now, I'm basically saying that if they basically fought the way they fought in the manga, Gojo would have won if he would have managed to dodge the slash that cuts the space itself. So yeah, that how strong is Gojo. Gojo is basically the strongest character in the entire Jujutsu Kaisen history, and it's pretty much confirmed, unless obviously you have your bias and all of that stuff, which we can't really do anything about it. So yeah, so if you like the video, please make sure to subscribe my channel and hit the like button, and let me know if you want another video on this topic on Jujutsu Kaisen, or mention in the comment what type of video you want me to make. So yeah, we'll meet next time. Bye bye.